I want to just quickly go through some common questions before I have my colleagues join me with some live Q&A. These are just a few questions that have been coming into the office the last couple of weeks, so I want to go through them as they might address some of those that have been coming through in the chat this morning. The first is, will staff review a draft application and provide feedback? Unfortunately, no, our staff is not able to read an entire draft application and provide you directed feedback. We are, however, entirely happy to answer very specific questions regarding eligibility requirements, or if you have a question about whether an expense is eligible or not, please call or email me. I recommend email as the primary way to get in touch, but we cannot provide feedback on an entire draft application. The second question is, my organization is new and we don't have nonprofit status and or an operating budget yet. Can we still apply? Unfortunately, no. We do need to have, your organization has to have been established at least from 2019 on, so that we can understand the scope of your public humanities programming pre-pandemic as well as moving forward. So you have to be established as a nonprofit, operational in Florida since 2019 in order to be eligible to apply. The third question is, we aren't located in Florida, but we do some programming in Florida. Are we eligible? And again, the answer, unfortunately, is no. You must be registered in Florida as a nonprofit and doing your work in our state to be eligible for a Florida Humanities ARP grant. I think we hit this one earlier. My organization received a Florida Humanities CARES grant last year. Am I eligible to apply? The answer is yes, but don't assume that just because you received a CARES grant last year that you will automatically be receiving reviewed funding this year. Your application will be competitively reviewed with the entire pool that comes in again this year. Can Florida Humanities ARP grants be used for programmatic cause? No. ARP grants, Florida Humanities ARP grants are solely for general operating support. If you have a one-time or special program or project that is based in the humanities and for which you're seeking support, please consult our website and review our community project grant program. Those grants are specifically designed to support public programming, and we do have upcoming deadlines on the calendar. The next question, my organization has a current Florida Humanities Community Project Grant or other funding. Am I eligible to apply for an ARP grant? And yes, as follow-up to that previous question, organizations are eligible to apply for and receive both types of grants from Florida Humanities concurrently, as long as none of the funding expenses, the funding requested, overlaps. So you just cannot apply dollars from both grants to the same expenses. And just a few final questions here before we move on to Q&A. Our organization has applied for pandemic relief funding from other sources. Can I still apply for a Florida Humanities ARP grant? The answer is yes. There are many other sources of relief funding out there, including American Rescue funds provided by other grant makers other than just Florida Humanities. My recommendation is to please check the eligibility requirements for each grant maker, as rules and regulations vary. As part of our application process, you will be required to respond to a brief narrative question that details all of the other pandemic relief support that your organization has either applied for or has received. So the key here is that for any funds you have received and pandemic relief funding that you've received, whether they're federal funds, state funds, or from a private grant maker, the expenses supported just may not overlap. So you can have multiple grants for relief, pandemic relief, but you can't apply dollars from multiple sources to the same expenses. Are there other funding opportunities we should be aware of? Of course, there's lots of grant funding opportunities available from the local to the national level for pandemic relief. I believe the National Endowment for the Humanities will be offering their own American Rescue Plan grants at the national level soon. So I encourage you to check their website. But I highly recommend that you check in with your local community foundation, as they're a great clearinghouse for the availability of grant funding on the local level. And the best question, I think, here is, how do I get in touch with staff with other questions? So I'm going to leave this screen up here before we jump to live Q&A. So you can see if you have any general grant questions at all regarding eligibility, preparing your budget, please contact me, Patricia Putman. My email address and phone number is there. If you have questions specific to creating an online account or on the technical side of using our grants portal, then please contact Lisa, who's our Director of Digital Strategies, and her email address and phone number are there. I will let everyone know that, like most offices, we are spending some time in office and some time working remotely. So we are currently in the office Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and can field phone calls during those days. Mondays and Fridays, we're working remotely, and we'll only be able to respond via email on those days. So please contact us early. Please don't wait until the last day or the last week. Get your questions into us now. Everyone's got a month to apply. So please get in touch early, because we are really more than happy to answer any questions that you have.